All right, what's good, y'all? You know it is your guy, Mixalot. I ain't gonna lie, it's been pissing me off because I'm watching cats like my age telling cats your age what you're doing is stupid, or you stop doing this, don't do that, this is bad. Yeah, then after that they say, if you like that, subscribe, give me a thumbs up, right? So we know what that is, right? Ulterior motive. I want to talk to y'all about recording, basically, because we've been talking about it. A bunch of cats, I wrote all the names down. I got their questions here. You got Matt Smith, he has some good questions. Frank Provo has some good comments. Corbin Campbell, Brandon Walters, and I don't know if I'm saying this right, Duvon Walker, Garrett John, some good questions. So we're going to talk about, I just wanted to do it because I saw what they said on Facebook, so I'm at you. Analog versus digital has been something everybody wants to talk about. I personally am bored with it. Just to give you some history, I started out analog, obviously. My whole first album, which sounds terrible because I didn't even know what compression was, but I did it all in my bedroom, and this is back in the mid 80s or whatever. And it did well, sold 1 million copies, but it sounded bad. I ain't gonna sit up here in front with you. I recorded it on a 4-track, some of it, on a 4-track cassette deck. Then the back half of it I recorded on an 8-track 1/4-inch Tascam reel-to-reel, or Fostex, not Tascam, Fostex reel-to-reel. Right after I finished that album, I ended up buying a 2-inch tape machine, 16 tracks. And I thought I was a professional, right? So I bought me a mixer. It was, I forget what the mixer, it wasn't a brand name, but it was nice. And I bought those two, and I thought I was the man. Bought my first little crib, little split level old house, put it downstairs in the basement, and I started working on the second record, which was Seminar. I put that out, and that went gold, about 750,000 last time we counted, which was 1989. So digital came in, kind of, but I bought these machines by Akai called Akai Adams, and they were like, they ran off of high 8 videotapes. I bought 2 of them, tied them together, so I thought I was hitting it now. I had 24 tracks. There was 12 tracks each, so I thought I was the man. I had 24 tracks, and that's what I recorded the Mac Daddy album on, with Baby Got Back and all that stuff. When I started to cross over to digital, I said, what's wrong with digital? I was recording digitally on those Akais, and they sounded good, sounded the same. Why? It wasn't tape. I didn't have any tubes. Why did it sound the same? Because there's one thing that doesn't get talked about enough when it comes to analog sound. Transformers, baby. That's the thickness, the stuff that just rounds out that bottom end. And I don't mean round it out like, back in the 70s when they had what I called the rock and roll roll-off. Everything below 200 hertz was just like 12 dB. They just start sloping it off. No, I'm talking about that warm thunder that you got on a DMX. You didn't get it much on an 808 as much as you did on the DMXs and Linn drums and stuff like that. So my stuff sounded the same. I didn't notice no difference. But when I went in the box, which was way later, when I went all the way in the box, I noticed it, but I thought it was just me. And I couldn't really understand why until I finally talked to a buddy of mine named Vic, who we're going to release something sound-wise that's going to blow y'all's mind, but I ain't here to advertise. Vic told me it was the Transformers. See, I didn't know that then. I know it now. And I said, wow, how do I get that back? Because I didn't want to go back recording on tape. And I wasn't mixing. I didn't want to buy a $80,000 mixer because it sounded cool. Then I said, you know what? What if I pass through some analog gear? So that's what I started doing. So I stopped buying a lot of plugins and I went and bought this stuff with iron, transformers. Even if you look at this stack right here, you look at 1, 2, 3 down, you'll see those 9 knobs and 9 red knobs in the rest. That's a Phoenix Audio mic pre. I experimented with that as soon as I bought it because they said they designed that to give you color. So the first thing I did, I sent a sine wave through it, right? A clean sine wave. And I printed it on the back end, coming back in. And oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, there was some harmonic content there and I was feeling it. So if you buy analog gear that costs you $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 for a 2-rack space unit and you tell me it's transparent, what'd you buy it for? To me, that doesn't make any sense. There's some damn good options in the box for $75, $50, sometimes $39. You catch them on sale around Christmas or Halloween or 4th of July or Memorial Day or Veterans Day. You know, they always got sales. There's some pretty good options transparent in the box is my point. Coming out of the box spending $5,000, you doing it just to brag and say you bought it. But there are some drawbacks to recording in a DAW, although I exclusively do it. And I'm gonna go over one that I know you guys deal with, DAW clutter. And what I mean by that, man, you know, like my room right now is a mess. I got 3 cameras set up. You've seen 2 of them. I'm gonna introduce the other one in a minute. This clutter is worse than studio clutter. This is DAW clutter. I mixed a song about 2 months ago for a cat that had 83 tracks in it. No lie, 83 tracks. 27 of the tracks had nothing to do with anything. They were tests, they were bad vocal takes, but I might have liked a huh instead of a ha, right? That kind of stuff. I just picked little fragments that I wanted to keep and I kept them. And I never used them. And then there's a bunch of grayed out tracks just sitting in the middle of my session, right? So I thought, okay, if I take all these dead tracks, just in case I need them later, right? I move them to the end of the session. I think they don't get on my nerves. But because I mix on a virtual console, I mean, it's not a virtual console, it's actually a physical console, but you know what I mean? Ain't passing no sound through it. It's just controlling your DAW. It still got on my nerves because when I'm scrolling down, I scroll too far and I'm looking, what are these? And I end up looking, I'm doing this constantly. Get rid of the dead tracks, man. If you printed a vocal and you know that's the one, and that other one has no way of making it into maybe a background vocal or something you want to do harmony-wise, throw it out. I mean, this song I had 2 snares in it, right? One was a standard 808, and the other one was just something I got off of, I don't know where I got it. It was on my drum machine. One of them had 4 effects ends. The other one had 5 effects ends. Guess how many I'm actually using? 1 on each. Light reverb, that's it. You know what I mean? But you don't want to get rid of, just in case you want to remind yourself of how bad that plugin sounded, you just open it up again and get rid of them. Man, I'm telling you, simplify. Before you mix, take all your dead tracks, all them unnecessary sins that you're not using, throw that crap out. The next thing is controversial. Whatever DAW you use, stick with it. Because I just had an argument with a cat. Well, not an argument. It was like okay, I'm going to tell you. He went in on me about Pro Tools. Man, why you use Pro Tools, man? All this stuff costs too much, man. You just on some old man. Nah, dude. I'm familiar with it. Man, listen, if I started today, would I use Pro Tools? Maybe not. Because if I started today and I was y'all's age and I never mixed on a desk with knobs and all that stuff, I probably wouldn't. I'd probably go with something like Logic or Ableton. To me, of all the DAWs, that's the best one for both producing and mixing. Now, that was a no-no. You know, when I was young, they'd say, you got to take that to somebody else, let them mix it. Y'all ain't doing that no more. I ain't doing it no more. If anything, I'm gonna try to record, mix, and master. So run what you brung. I come from a knob and fader world, and Avid stuff is crazy expensive, bro. I mean, you spend money on this stuff, man. It's like, okay, I'll give you an example of what I'm talking about. Okay, this is the board I'm using. No sound passes through this. I love this thing because I don't have to look up if I don't want to. I can sit here and when I'm mixing, I don't like looking at the screen all day. Although I do reference it to make sure the moves I'm happening are actually happening, which I know they are. But I got encoders for days. I made sure I had it built 24. I almost went with 32 tracks, but I had my last one was a 32 track, which was the decontrol. Waste of time. So I went down to 24 because that's really all I need. This master section is sick. But do you need it? No. You don't need it. I just got it because I could, but I don't need it either. You know, if the thing about a lot of DAWs, Pro Tools, I don't know if it's an exception or not. I don't know if you can do it or not. I haven't tried it in a long time. Some of these DAWs you can just take. I got a Kai MPK 249 up there. You can control a DAW with that. I'm not trying to cost my boys at Avid no money, but they ain't did me no favors either. Trust me, I paid $100,000 for that. Really? It's nice, but $100,000, I don't know. If you don't read music, sometimes that can be to your benefit. Now that this one dude that does not like hip hop at all said, y'all can't read music, so it ain't music. But if he got kids, y'all checking their payroll. The rules of music, to me, need to be broken quite often. Ray Charles taking the gospel and bringing it out to all of us, to the masses, and they called it boogie woogie. They can call it whatever they wanted to. It's sold like crazy. So these rules are made to be broken. Prince broke a lot of them too. I would argue sometimes, and this goes to a question I got from John, musicianship, trained versus the vibe. Ooh. And what he means by that is the trained ear, the perfect chord progressions, all this stuff, versus that dude that just sits there. And y'all ever seen Timbaland's masterclass when he's just making it up off the top? I gotta say, I'm on the vibe side. I'm just being honest with you. Don't get me wrong. There's some cats that can do both. Herbie Hancock was one that you go back and listen to Watermelon Man, which he made when I couldn't even spell watermelon. When he did Watermelon Man, and you listen to that cut, and it's like, yeah, this don't sound like the traditional, cat that reads music, the jazz pianist or whatever. So there are some people that can do both, but some people choose to pick sides. If I'm gonna pick a side, I'm going vibe, because my favorite drummer ever, Clyde Stubblefield, which is where I got that kind of herky-jerky style of my programming from, he's talking about when he made Cold Sweat. What did they do? What did James Brown do? They vibed. He made the drum beat up, and cats just start picking up stuff, joining in. That's why I favor vibe. Yeah, if y'all like the pure musicianship, and don't get me wrong, it's to be respected. If you want to be Liberace or whatever, or if you want to, but if you can take the best of both worlds, then you're awesome. But I haven't seen too many people do it that I know of. I may not know of them. Eric. So Eric asked me, what kind of mic would you recommend? Don't get me started on this subject. So my first three albums were recorded on an AKG 414. Not this. This didn't even exist yet. I just get it up here so you can see it. This is not the one I use anymore either. I used this. This is a blue Kiwi, and I like it. It was like $2,000, which for this level of mic is pretty good. I know that sounds weird, but I'm just being real. What I use now is in the back over here. Bill Learned down at Vintage King Audio told me, look, man, these guys got a mic that you got to check out. I'm like, what is it? He said, have you ever heard of a Telefunken 251? I said, yeah, kind of. He said, there's a Bach 251. He said, I'm not going to give you the price. That's what he told me. Whenever he tell you that, watch out. I'm not going to give you the price. I'm going to send it to you. Call me, tell me what you think. Slick. Because I bought it. That Bach 251, oh my goodness gracious. You got to do a little EQ carving because it picks up stuff. If you touch the chord, like I'm touching this one, no, it sounds like, and so you do got to do a little cutting, but I got an EQ curve I just bring up on Pro Q3 and it works. So yeah, I would say go try it out, put your voice on it, whatever you can afford. and put a little sweetness on it. What I mean by that, put your compression, whatever you would usually use, and then play with it, because every mic is going to want to be EQ'd and compressed a little differently. I've learned that the hard way. I tried to slap the compression from this on a 251. No, didn't work at all. 251 had a I wanted to allow more to come out of the 251 because of the dynamics and stuff. That mic is sick in a good way. Now, I'm going to get to plugins now, because I think plugins are incredible and incredibly overused, myself included. All right, I'll load up my track, and the first thing I wonder is, man, how come I don't have more slots for more plugins? But I don't need them. I just think I do, right? Have you guys ever done this? Have you guys ever just blanketly threw the same plugin on every, like I see cats that buy these like these mixer channel plugins. I don't want to say any names. I don't want to get nobody mad, but it'll be modeled around a Neve or whatever. And they drop them on every channel. And they ain't doing nothing. They just sitting there. They use it for volume, because they say, if you pass through it, you can feel that warmth. Okay. Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I don't do it no more. I learned to use my ears, let my ears tell you. You got to trust your ears too. Which brings me to my next point. Replicate the end user's environment. This is very, very important. I don't mean where they live and all that. What I'm saying is, how do they consume music? How do they listen? Because it cracks me up. I'm sitting in the studio. I got these, what are these? Focal Trio 11Bs, I think they're called. Incredible monitors. I'm talking about, my guy Brian Cornfield, he got me these, and let me tell you something, best sounding monitors I ever heard. What does that matter to you if you don't have them, right? So if you're the customer and I'm trying to please you, I know you're listening on laptops, I know you're listening on phones, I know you're listening on in the car. Very few people anymore. They started doing this stuff, I got 2 speakers, 6 foot away on either side, twisted towards me about 30 degrees, hit both ears. You know what? Who's listening like that? Now, why do I do it then? I do it because I need to hear as much detail as I can when I'm putting my mix together, right? So I get it as accurate as I can. I want to hear it, but you know what I do constantly? I put on headphones, and I got multiple pairs of headphones, earbuds. Then I fire it through my laptop. I print something to stick it on my laptop, listen to it on the speakers. Why do I do that? What if there's a cat that he's just random listening to music, and your cut comes on? Separation, baby. You want to do something to make him grab that cut, make him go, oh, what's this? And they look at it and then they add it, or they buy it. Ooh, I still buy records. I'm old. I still buy, I guess you can call them records, recordings. I'll say that. That to me is something that all of us kind of get wrong. The guys on the high end with these big ass studios, they have a tendency. Example, I had a friend of mine come by, and we were listening to some headphones. I got probably my favorite ones, not these. Actually, my favorites are the blues for right now, because they're only $150, but they sound pretty accurate. So we went to another guy's place. I ain't gonna say his name. He said, headphones are not accurate. I don't care how nice they are, they're not accurate. Let's revisit this for a minute. Now, I'm asking a question now. I'm not telling you I know something. By headphones being accurate, do you mean they sound just like the speaker if it were 6 foot away, both turned in at 30 degrees on either side, reaching my ear at the same time, and I optimized it with my Trinov? Is that what you mean by accurate? Or what I define as sometimes the new accurate, the line level output. In other words, at its source, before it goes to the amplifiers, to the speakers, or to the powered speakers, or whatever it is, you're probably listening on headphones. I always use my headphones back and forth with my speakers to mix. And some people say you should never do that. Well, I got news for you. Most cats ain't got what used to be called hi-fi systems. I went to CES about 3 years ago, and they moved the Palazzo and the Venetian. They have the high-end stereo stuff. So I went and sat in there. I'm not lying. There was this dude with some big Bootzilla glasses on, and he had a toupee on. It was obvious toupee because he wouldn't even bend over too much to put the record on. He had on white gloves and a blazer with a turtleneck. I'm not exaggerating. So he takes this little brush and he cleans off the record. And then he takes the needle and he drops it on the record and he stands here like this. I'm sitting there like, who is this guy trying to sell this stuff to? It was a $200,000 pair of speakers that if you played the stuff we listened to, me and you, they would have sounded bad. But he was playing some Count Basie stuff that was remastered and all that. And I looked behind me, there was 4 people in the room. 4 people. What's that tell you? Those cats, 86 of them, not even part of this. I ain't talking to them, I'm talking to you. Replicate the user's environment. By the user, I mean the consumer. The person that's gonna hear your material, replicate their environment as much as possible. I don't care what anybody tells you. You can mix on your speakers, because your ears will get tired mixing in these. They will. But you can mix on your speakers, get a good balance, get it to where it's sounding perfect. But when you put on the headphones, I guarantee you something's gonna jump out, usually in the mid-range, right? Because it's closer to your ear. People would say, don't worry about that, you mix on the speakers. No. If the consumer is going to hear you for the first time, either here or here or here on his laptop, no, don't listen to that. That's garbage. So real quick, I'm going to grab some quick questions. Let's see. Matt Smith. No, I want this one. Garrett John. I said, love to get your opinions. I do my own recording, very amateur still learning new things all the time, finally starting to feel like I can get what's in my head into my computer. This is why when I'm doing something and I'm trying to come up with something, my DAW is open, I always have a little SM58. Why? Because if I got an idea for a beat, I'll do it on that. You know, boom, 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 whatever. I do that all the time because that's kind of where you get that in your DAW, and then you start creating it. That's what I would say do, but you got it, bro. Frank Provost says, he didn't ask a question, he just said it. You know, he said, bring the truth, mix, like these jackholes trying to tell a kid they can't become a YouTube star with $500 worth of gear. Technology has come so far. I totally agree, bro. Totally agree. You're selling to you, so it should sound like you. It should sound like what your generation or what your fans want to hear. So what I'm gonna do now, because that's enough of that yakking back and forth. What I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna just show you a basic session up here on the big screen. And let's see here. All right, y'all. Okay, so we in Pro Tools now. I'm just gonna give you a basic rundown of how I usually break out a system here, break out a session here, sorry. So first of all, over here on the board, I usually have everything at just a straight at 0. That's it. I don't really too much mess with that until I get serious. So going back to the screen here, you got, your kick. And then this kick. See, the 808, that is the original 808. And when you're listening on computers or phones, it's hard to hear this one. So what everybody's done, and I love it, what we used to do back in the day, we'd take this kick and we'd put take an old kick from a DMX or a Lin drum. We'd roll off the bottom end and then cut down to just the attack, the initial hit of that kick, give it a natural but quick decay, and play it with this. So but what you guys have done that I love is you distorted the 808s. I'm loving that. Yeah, so what I do is I break all of these out. So let me close this up. Right here, is where I put my 808. This is a kick if I'm using an extra kick, snare, clap, hat. Take all this, and then I'll usually, I'll sum them right here, right? Then I have a drum reverb, and I have all kind of sends along here. I don't send all my drums to a reverb. I saw a guy do that. I thought, damn, dude, you're silly. Over here, vocals. This will be my lead vocal, backup, and then anything, any ad libs, stuff like that. If I'm producing somebody R&B, I got a lot more of this, and then I sum that. And then I have my reverb, same thing. I have my master. Right here is where I'll experiment with all kind of different prints and different effects and different ways of summing things. And this is where I'll come out. So I would take all these tracks right here, right? I would send all of these out through my hardware, and I'll show you that in a second. And then I come back in to the DAW. I do that all the time, constantly, never stops. So anyway, this is what I would usually do. This is a pretty good breakout for me, and how it usually looks. And then you just hum, baby, hum. All right, y'all, I just wanted to jump in there. Yeah, so basically, all this stuff over there, that's the warming plate. What I got is I got the black box up at the top. You can't really see it. Black box, I use that for mastering, HG2. It's pretty, yeah, let me tilt this back so you can see it. I'm just gonna raise it up so you can see it up there at the top. Now those 2 units flashing up above, that's a patch audio. Those are patch bays. I love them, man. You got 32 ins, 32 outs on each one of them, and those 2 are tied together, which you have to give up 8 to do that because you have to use those for sends and returns, but incredible, man. It made me use my analog gear again. And now I can let the mic sit back down. So below the black box is the MM1, which is basically a mic pre-built by Analog Design. And it's incredible. You actually, that almost sounds like you got compression and everything already set up. It sounds like a perfect audio chain in one unit. Below that is the Phoenix Audio. This is one I was talking about earlier. That thing colors up some stuff nice. Below that is the, I'm gonna skip the Focusrite interfaces. I'm not quite happy with Dante yet. Don't get me started, but it's probably me. But we'll get it worked on. If not, I'll go back to my old system. The Loop Trotter Monster, incredible sounding compressor. A lot of character, adjustable saturation. Yes, I said it. It is all kind of things that thing does. Below that, I'm gonna have to pick up this camera and go down a little bit. Below that is the Satur 8 or Saturate. This is what I use the most. So I'll take 8 channels and pass through that thing at one time, boom, and just reprint. So it has individual outs and ins. You can sum. It also has a left and right out. So you can pass 8 channels through this and pass them right back out and print them, or you can bring those 8 channels in and sum them. Each channel has adjustable saturation. You can insert saturation in each channel, man. Not driving it, literally dial in saturation. So does the Monster. I don't buy compressors because they're transparent. If I do that, I keep them in the box. Below that is my buddy Brian Cornfield. He had these Liverpools, Grove Hill Audio. That's a mono unit. I have 2 of those. The other one's sitting up near my my Mac Pro. So anyway, that was sloppy camera work. I just picked that up on the fly. Y'all, I gotta run. Been fun, but do what you do. Keep doing it, and don't let old cats like me talk you out your game. Just a little hating. You know, they missing them days when they was popular, but you got some fat on your head, old folks. Use it. Share the information sometimes. Sitting around, well, these kids don't know what they're doing nowadays. Yeah. As Drake shuts down TikTok with one video. Quit hating, old folks. I love you, though. Y'all play good dominoes. All right. You know who it is. Mix-a-Lot. Got down.